As I mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, there are two types of functions. First type of function is a value returning function, and that's what we've been looking at in the last few videos. The second type of function is called a void function, and it differs from a value returning function in that it does not return a value. You use it primarily to perform some set of operations without expecting it to return a value as the result of whatever those operations are. There are several different uses for void functions, and let's look at the simplest one in this video, just printing out some information that may appear in several places in a program. Take a look at the program in front of you. This prints out a name and a date with a border around it, and you might use it to start a new page of output or anywhere you need name and date information to go in either a program as comments even, or as output as shown here in a series of cout statements. So let's take this program and convert it into a void function. The first thing we want to do is create the void function heading. We do that up in the global area by writing the keyword void, which signifies that the following definition is a void function, void being the substitute for a return data type, followed by the name of the function. In this case, we're going to call ours heading. And then a parameter list if you have one. In this particular case, we don't have one, so we're going to leave it blank, and we'll just put empty parentheses there. We start off the function body with an open brace, and we'll put a closed brace down just to indicate that it's a complete body. Then we can just simply copy this code from the main program and put it into our, in fact, I'll just cut it rather than just copy it, and put it into the function body as is. And that's all we have to do just to get this working the way it was originally. To call a void function, simply use its name with any arguments that are in the parameter list, but since we don't have any, we leave the argument list blank. But we do need the empty parentheses. Let's build and run the program just to make sure that it works correctly. And it does, it prints our heading just as we expected. Void functions can also take arguments in the call, and of course you would declare those as parameters in the definition. So let's modify our program by doing that. What we want to do here is make it so that the user can modify the name and the date shown in the heading by adding those parameters to the definition. So we'll just add a string name and a string date to the parameter list. Then in the body of the function, we're going to have to modify the program so it'll print a name inside the border, and that's going to be a little tricky. So what we're going to do is we're going to erase everything up through the colon, close the string, add the parameter name, and then we're going to guess how much space to go from where the name ends until we want to print the last asterisk. We'll use tabs to do that so we can control the amount of space that we're printing, and then we'll add an asterisk and then close the line. We'll do the very same thing for the next line for the date, and 3 tabs, followed by an asterisk, and inline, which is already there. All right, so let's build and run the program again to see what we get. Then, of course, careless mistake, we forgot to pass the data into the function call in the main program. So come down here, add the original data in with literals. Of course, you could prompt the user to enter the data, but I'll save the time from having to add all those statements into my program. This will give you the idea of how the function call works with data passed to it. Build and run again, and there we go. Void functions are useful when you have a set of operations that need to be performed over and over again that you want to name, just like you would name a value returning function. Void functions sometimes come with empty parameter lists, but often you want to pass data into the function, just like we did in the second example with heading. In the next video, I'll show you how to use a void function to perform a more useful computation.